growing vegetable at home. Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. In this episode we will be talking about growing vegetable at home. Vegetable garden is a great way to get fresh, nutritious produce without having to rely on store-bought vegetables that may have been grown using chemicals, pesticides and are picked premature. In this video, we'll take a look at some of the things you need to consider when starting a vegetable garden, including the type of soil to use, how to choose the right vegetables to grow, and how to care for your plants. So, let's get started. It's important to remember that gardening is a learning process, and you're bound to encounter some challenges along the way. There's always something new to learn, and even experienced gardeners make mistakes and encounter challenges. Don't be discouraged if your first attempts at gardening aren't perfect. Keep trying, keep learning, and enjoy the process of growing your own vegetables. There are also many great books and websites on gardening that can provide you with in-depth information on everything from soil preparation to pest control. Don't be afraid to do some research and experiment with different techniques and plants to find what works best for you. And if you have any additional questions or would like more information on gardening, there are many resources available to you. You can visit your local nursery or garden center for advice on specific plants or gardening techniques, or you can join a local gardening group or online community to connect with other gardeners and share tips and advice. In addition, many local gardening centers and community gardens offer workshops, classes, and events for beginner gardeners. These can be a great way to learn new skills, connect with other gardeners, and get hands-on experience with gardening. And if you're looking for some inspiration, you can also visit community gardens or farms in your area. These are great places to see how others are growing their own vegetables and to learn from experienced gardeners. Remember, gardening is a rewarding and fulfilling hobby and isn't just about the end result of having fresh, homegrown produce. It's also about the journey, the satisfaction of nurturing a plant from seed to maturity. I'd like to mention the importance of sustainable and eco-friendly vegetable garden. There are many simple steps you can take to minimize your environmental impact while gardening, such as using organic fertilizers and pest control methods, conserving water, and composting. Here are a few tips for making your home garden more sustainable. Composting is a great way to reduce waste and provide your plants with the nutrients they need. You can start a compost pile in your backyard or use a composting bin to turn kitchen scraps and yard waste into rich, fertile soil. This is not only great for your garden, but it also helps reduce the amount of organic waste that ends up in landfills. Another way to garden sustainably is to conserve water. Water is a precious resource, and it's important to use it wisely in your garden. Consider using a rain barrel to collect rainwater that you can then use to water your plants, or install a drip irrigation system that delivers water directly to the plant's roots and minimizes waste. One way to do this is to use organic gardening practices, which avoid the use of synthetic pesticides and fertilizers that can be harmful to beneficial insects and wildlife, and consider planting native species to support local biodiversity. Instead, use natural alternatives like compost, manure, and other organic matter to nourish your soil and plants. Companion planting involves planting different crops together that benefit each other in various ways, such as repelling pests, improving soil quality, or attracting beneficial insects. This can reduce the need for pesticides and other chemicals. Part 1. Choosing the right location. The first thing to start growing vegetables at home is to choose the right location. You'll want to select a spot in your yard that receives at least 6 hours of sunlight per day. Ideally, the spot should also be close to a water source, such as a hose or irrigation system, to make watering your plants easier. When choosing a spot, it's also important to consider the type of soil you have. Vegetables need well-draining soil that is rich in nutrients. If your soil is heavy or compacted or poor, you may need to amend it with compost or other organic matter to improve its texture and nutrient content. Part 2: Choosing the right vegetables. Once you've chosen a location for your vegetable garden, it's time to select the vegetables you want to grow. When choosing vegetables, consider the climate in your area, as some vegetables do better in certain temperatures and weather conditions than others. You should also think about how much space you have and how much time you can commit to your garden. Some easy vegetables to start with include tomatoes, peppers, lettuce, and herbs such as basil and parsley. These are all relatively low-maintenance plants that can be grown in container or pots if you don't have a lot of space. Other great vegetables for beginners include green beans, cucumbers, and zucchini, which are all easy to grow and produce bountiful. Part 3: Preparing the soil. Before you start planting, it's important to prepare your soil. This involves adding organic matter, such as compost, to improve the soil's texture and nutrient content. If you have heavy clay soil, you may need to mix in sand or perlite to improve drainage. You should also consider adding a layer of mulch to your garden bed. Mulch helps to retain moisture in the soil, suppress weeds, and regulate the temperature of the soil. Part 4: Planting your vegetables. Now that you've prepared your soil, it's time to start planting your vegetables. When planting, it's important to follow the instructions on the seed packet or transplant label, as different vegetables have different spacing requirements. Some vegetables, such as tomatoes and cucumbers, require support structures such as stakes or trellises to help them grow upright. Be sure to provide these supports early on in the growing process to avoid damaging the plants later on. Part 5: Watering and fertilizing your garden. Watering is a crucial part of caring for your vegetable garden. Watering can vary depending on the climate in your area. It's important to water deeply and consistently, rather than giving your plants small amounts of water frequently. Fertilizing is also important to keep your plants healthy and productive. You can use a balanced fertilizer to provide your plants with the nutrients they need. It's best to fertilize your plants before planting and again when they start to produce flowers or fruit. Part 6: Dealing with pests and diseases. Unfortunately, even the healthiest vegetable garden can fall victim to pests and diseases. Some common garden pests include aphids, slugs, snails, and tomato hornworms. You can control these pests by using natural methods such as hand picking, spraying with a mixture of water and dish soap, or using natural insecticides like neem oil. Diseases can also be a problem in vegetable gardens, particularly if the plants are overcrowded or if the soil is too wet. Common diseases include powdery mildew, leaf spot, and blossom end rot. To prevent disease, make sure to space your plants properly and avoid overhead watering, which can lead to wet leaves and fungal growth. Part 7: Harvesting your vegetables. One of the best parts of having a vegetable garden is harvesting the fresh, delicious produce that you've grown yourself. When harvesting, be sure to pick your vegetables at the right time to ensure that they are at their peak flavor and texture. For example, tomatoes are best when they are fully ripe and have the ideal color, while lettuce is best when it is young and tender. It's also important to harvest your vegetables regularly to encourage continued growth and production. Don't wait until your vegetables are overripe or overgrown, as this can signal to the plant that it's time to stop producing. Growing vegetables at home can be a rewarding and enjoyable experience, as well as a way to save money on fresh produce. With a little bit of planning and care, you can have a successful vegetable garden in your own backyard. Remember to choose the right location, select the right vegetables, prepare your soil, water and fertilize your plants, and be prepared to deal with pests and diseases. By following these steps, you'll be well on your way to growing a bountiful garden. So, there you have it, growing vegetables at home. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this one.